Hey, Bam here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about innovative technologies. Now, personally, I love LG. This is not sponsored or anything like that. I just wanted to give LG some props for actually creating innovative technology, specifically with the smartphone market, that other manufacturers are not doing. I know that the big controversy about modular smartphones is that the manufacturers would not be able to monetize on them, because if smartphones are completely modular like desktop computers are, then who would actually go out and buy a new smartphone? But although that does have some merit to it, I can understand that. I have to point out that other things like cars and desktop computers have been able to stay relevant in a time and age as to where so many people are going with iPhone or Samsung. Now, I've had the LG V20 right here for some time now.
I like your GoPro.
Thanks, it's my vlogging camera.
Hey, Dad.
For me personally, I want to stand out. I want to stand out from the crowd, and I want to make sure that I'm actually upgrading. I at least want to have something that's, if not new, then at least different from what I had previously. Previously to my LG V20, I had the LG G4, and that only had one camera on it. This one has two. I intended to use it for vlogging, and I did, and it worked well for it. Kind of. The main problem that I ran into with vlogging on my smartphone is the fact that it was just too much. I was vlogging with it, I was using it for music, I was using it for navigation, I was using it for messaging, I was using it for social media, networking. I was using it for so many different things that I needed to have my GoPro for vlogging, and so I did. And I wish I'd done it sooner, honestly. That's not to say that the LG V20 does not have a good camera on it. It definitely does. It is a DSLR quality camera. But LG so far has been the best smartphone for me, period. I've had Samsung Galaxy S3. It gave me battery issues, and I mean to the point that I would have it plugged in all night, it would say that it was charging, and I woke up to 12% battery. I went through Kyocera Rise. That was just an overall terrible, terrible, terrible smartphone. And then I went to HTC Desire 816. That smartphone was actually a good smartphone. The battery lasted me the whole day. I recorded video on it. At the time, I loved that it had front-facing speakers on it. My first smartphone that I ever owned actually was an LG Optimus Slider. I loved that smartphone so much. There was no problems with it until one day, after about 3 or 4 years of usage, that it just stopped working on me altogether. And I used it the same way I use this one today. I streamed live radio on it, navigation, messaging, everything like that, music. The only thing is that I had to have it plugged in constantly because I wasn't thinking about having an extra battery. Oh well. But anyway, the main point that I wanted to get across here is that I definitely know that I want to be able to stand out from the crowd. And that's what a lot of people fear to do. They want to stay in their comfort zone, which is why it is that they go with iPhone or they go with Samsung. Now, I know what you're going to say already is that Samsung has the curved edge display, but you know what? I don't necessarily think that bigger screen, smaller bezels are a good way to go. At least not until they get tougher. Or you put a case on it, one or the other. And especially not with the fact that the screen wraps around the edge the way that I think all Samsungs do. You are taking away the security of, oh, I dropped my smartphone, oh well, because it has edges on it. I'm not one that likes to stay in my comfort zone because I get bored there. Which is why it is that whenever I got my tax return, I went ahead and got the LG V20. It's a videographer's dream smartphone. I thought I wanted to use it for vlogging. Turns out I didn't, but do I regret it? No. Because, no, I don't regret it. No, not whatsoever, because it's still a massive powerhouse. It still does everything I want it to do without any glitches or hiccups. And the camera, quite honestly, is overkill for what I want to use it, ergo, it's always going to exceed my expectations. So many people just don't like change. I love change. Change means the opportunity to grow and become better, in my eyes. It might be a little messy. It might not work out. But in that case, then that's a learning experience. LG tried it with their LG G5, and it was their first modular smartphone. And I say modular very loosely because it really wasn't. You can swap out the battery, you can put on some modifications to it, but really, you couldn't swap out anything else. You couldn't swap out the processor, you couldn't swap out the RAM, you couldn't swap out the camera, you couldn't swap out the screen, audio, microphone, anything like that. And it flopped because it just wasn't it just wasn't put together right, essentially. But the thing is that they at least made an attempt. They at least made an effort to create something that hadn't successfully been done before. I applaud the effort to make something that hadn't been done before successfully more than what I do holding back from it because you're afraid of it failing. Now, the LG G6, on the other hand, is essentially LG apologizing for it because a lot of people didn't like the LG G5, and so they made a straight up smartphone with almost no gimmicks or bullshit or anything like that. They gave it a few spec bumps from the previous one, but other than that, it's just a slab of a smartphone. I personally would have liked it if they would have kept the swappable battery, and hopefully someone at least has cases that come out for it that are expandable batteries. But at the very least, it does have a slot for a micro SD chip, which is good because I don't have anything on my smartphone. It's all backed up on the cloud storage, and then it's all on a micro SD chip, and then backed up to cloud storage. So at least that, at least they kept that. Now, it's not just smartphones either. They also did this thing with one of their refrigerators that it is a completely glass door. Supposedly, the rumor is that it lets cold air out, that it leaks cold air. And I'm not 100% sure about that because even with it being glass, I'm pretty sure that glass doors, if sealed properly, can keep cold air in. I do know that I like the idea of being able to simply look inside the refrigerator door without having to open it up all the way. But the thing is that people just don't like the mess that being innovative could and does often bring. And I completely understand that. And I would be just as upset with them as what everyone else would be. If it wasn't for the fact that whenever things get messy because of innovation, they typically wind up better than before the mess. That's one of the main reasons why it is that I love LG, is that they're willing to try different things. And I'll probably always stick with LG because they seem to be about the only ones that do what it is that they're doing as far as innovative smartphone designs. Now, I'm not saying that the same old is necessarily a bad thing. It's not, definitely. And you can definitely keep things that work and that are good. And what happens whenever you keep something around that's good because it works? People keep coming back. because people are happy with it. But whenever you are so confined to the obstacles that surround you that you've only got a few different directions that you can go, either backtrack or keep going forward and eventually wind up coming to some sort of crossroads, then that's a problem, and that hinders the users to not be able to simply do what they want to do with that product. And I don't want that as a creator, and even as just a general consumer. I want to be able to have more than just a few different options. So before you start bashing something because it looks messy, just keep in mind that sometimes things have to get messier before they get better.